Sienna God, hello all, Oshtus and Ali, good morning, and Wado, thank you for watching. So this is day 44 of Transformation of America, the True Life Story of the CIA Mind Control Slave by Kathy O'Brien with Mark Phillips. And we are entering into chapter 18 called In the Meantime of Kathy's Story. Let's see how quickly we can get through this disgusting stuff. My life seemed to lead me at an accelerated pace after being subjected to Reagan and Bush by handler Alex Houston egotistically claimed it was his and Elmer's, E-L-E-M-E-R-S, open parenthesis, his alter ego dummy. Close parenthesis, popularity that kept us traveling so extensively within the country music circuit. When we weren't traveling the Caribbean and Mexico via NCL ships or driving his cocaine-loaded motorhome to strategically booked shows across the U.S., we were routinely moving in and out of Washington, D.C. all along the way. My daughter and I were either prostituted, used in commercial pornography, or filmed in Michael Dante's Chief bestiality pornography, as ordered by Uncle Ronnie Reagan. Okay. Occasionally our travels would take us to Michigan, where Houston made certain we stayed with family. Trips to my father's house were devastating but informative. My mother had developed deep psychological scars above and beyond her own MPD condition and became an insomniac. My father by this time was routinely traveling to London, Germany, and Mexico, and taking the family to Florida's Disney World in Washington, D.C. My older brother, Bill, still worked for and with my father, traveled with him annually to hunt in Cheney's Gray Bull, Wyoming Lodge, and maintained his wife and 3 children under trauma-based mind control according to my father's instructions. My brother Mike ran a video store to front some of my father's and Uncle Bob Tanis's, T-A-N-I-S, lucrative porn video business. My sister Kelly Jo became a belly dancing contortionist, excelling in gymnastics. Since she became as flexible as Gumby according to her prostitution programming, she worked her way through school in children's daycare centers, admittedly spotting for my father. Abused children for potential chosen ones candidates. In 1990, she graduated to open a licensed daycare, Little Learners, in Grand Haven, Michigan, for my father. By my brother Tom Beaver is, and that Beaver is in parentheses, is a CompuKids, COMPU-kids, open parentheses, CIA project, close parentheses, program computer genius. My brother Tim broke his leg, and this in parentheses again, the same place my mother had broken his leg years before due to following my father's sports programming above and beyond human capability. And my youngest sister Kimmy became hysterically obsessed with Mr. Rogers, expressed immense fear of her huge electric dollhouse that lit up at night to look like the White House, and was under a doctor's care for anorexia by age 7. I look forward to the day I can help them all, and justice is served on my father. Whoa. Since I was using parts of my brain I would not have used under normal circumstances, I developed the ability to read backwards as naturally as I could read forwards. Houston tapped into this typically occult-based phenomena as a means of scrambling road signs to promote amnesia of where we were traveling. He further compounded his effort by conditioning me to read phonetically and literally, and alternated his scrambling methods. Zoos became ooze, and ooze translated to Oz. Arkansas read Our Kansas, and Missouri became and was Misery. East became West, and Highway 66 became 99. When I traveled, I literally did not consciously know if I was coming or going. If an outsider happened to ask me where I'd travel, I mechanically replied, the towns all run together and look alike after a while. Commands delivered in the same language twisting manner were natural for me to follow. Roll with it was easier for me to become, according to Reagan's acting definition, than it was to go with the flow by rolling with it. Phrases like Wyoming Senator Alan Simpson's in a switch of an eye, in parentheses as personality slash I as an EYE, and then and again in parentheses hypnotic blink slash the letter I, and it says the letter in parentheses, complaint becomes compliant. The parts of my brain I was forced to function with were not conducive to normal thinking, nor could I have appeared normal to outsiders had they cared to see beyond my superficial programmed cover personality. I did have occasion to mix with outsiders at the local library where I took Kelly for her books on days when we were not traveling. By age 6, she tested at the 7th grade reading level. I also emerged from my closed environment to tend to Kelly's schooling. She maintained straight A's, but her poor attendance record threatened to violate state requirements. Once, when the librarian asked where Kelly would be traveling to waive library book due dates, or the teacher inquired as to Kelly's absences, I gave the usual response of the towns all run together and look alike after a while. If they pressed for specifics, I ran through a series of religious phrases such as praise the Lord to compensate for my lack of answers. People tended to overlook and accept religious fanaticism, personality peculiarities, which combined with my role traveling the country music industry kept outsiders at a distance for years. My religious fanatic cover personality was cultivated at the Brentwood, Tennessee Lord's Chapel, non-denominational, in parentheses, Pentecostal church through the CIA operative preacher, Reverend, is in quotes, Billy Roy Moore, R-O-Y, Moore, M-O-O-R-E, who has, and this is in parentheses, who has since fled to Arkansas due to a local murder scandal. Okie doke. Moore transported cocaine from the Caribbean for the CIA, at least during the Reagan administration, under the guise of so-called missions, i.e. Christian ministries. It most likely was not the intent of the Christians dedicated to their Caribbean ministries to be used by the CIA and more inadvertently mule drugs into our country. Even CIA agents operating under need to know partial information were denied the full scope of what they were actually participating in. Many seemingly willingly participants were manipulated, provided justification, and deliberately misled to believe they were serving their country rather than destroying it from the inside out. Pastor Moore combined his knowledge of Kelly's and my programming keys, codes, and triggers with his use of metaphorical language to maintain and or direct our mode of operation. Moore's following consisted primarily of government mind control slaves and handlers, including the Mandrells, Jack Green and his slave, the Oak Ridge Boys, and others. He instructed us on how to vote, which political issues to support, and to follow other religious political leaders such as his and Manuel Noriega's friend, evangelist Jimmy Swaggart. Religious counseling from Moore equated to maintaining mind control programming through God's orders, and God's orders often came by telephone. Okay. Houston constantly prostituted Kelly to anyone in the loop who was willing to pay. When she wasn't being prostituted, she was being filmed pornographically. By 1984, Michael Dante routinely filmed Kelly in pornography, since kiddie porn was as lucrative as bestiality. Alrighty. He filmed Kelly and me in Las Vegas, Nevada, and various other locations throughout the Caribbean, California, Florida, Tennessee, and in my home state of Michigan. Sweet Jesus. This created professional conflict with losing-time kiddie pornographers formerly associated with Houston. Houston's close friend in Waycross, W-A-Y-C-R-O-S-S, Georgia, pedophile Jimmy Walker managed the Okefenokee Swamp Park. It's Okefenokee Swamp Park, and had participated in black budget funding operations for years. On both the cocaine and pornography levels, his counterpart Dick Flood refused to participate in any more pornography after Dante came on the scene. Even the Huntsville, Alabama, NASA/DIA/CIA appointed law enforcement officers could rarely succeed in their bidding for Kelly's videotape performances unless directly ordered by Senator Byrd. Dante considered himself her future owner as well as mine, and maintained control of our porn business ventures through serious U.S. government and international mafia methodisms/connections. Jimmy Walker, the same photographer who had taken pornographic wedding night pictures for Larry Flynt, recently had other photographs of me published in Hustler. When Dante found out, he was furious. Larry Flynt and Dante both worked for the CIA, had Vatican and mafia connections, deliberately appealed to Reagan's perversions using Project Monarch, mind control slaves. What Flynt could not legally publish, Dante ran through the underground. Flynt and Dante lived on opposite coasts, which, despite their similarities, still was not far enough apart to soothe their differences. Waving his hands in dramatic Italian gestures, Dante furiously spouted a string of obscenities over Flynt's publishing photos of what he deemed his property, accusing Flynt of going to extremes to gain favor/protection from the government. Dante shouted, "He's a bigger whore than the girls he promotes." All right, we'll end it there. Don't go, honey. Love you, mean it.